Welcome back to Vault Hunters. Today, now that I'm at level 50, I'm finally going to build myself a starter house. I guess if you can call it that. I had previously mentioned that I wanted to build a factory type thing here at spawn, but I think my plans have changed a bit. Instead, I'm going to build in this mountain area, and eventually I want to build a castle. There is a nice big hill which I can build a keep on top of, and then build a few pieces coming off of that. There is a nice big flat area on top where I can build the main structure. There's a good amount of space in the front where I can build things like a barracks, an armory, or a smith. The cliffs in the back make a nice base for fortified walls. And there's a small bit sticking out which I think would make a perfect spot for an observatory. There's some nice flat land surrounding the hill where I want to build a couple of little villages, and on the right side is where I'm going to build today. The inspiration for the build today comes from this artist I found on ArtStation. Here's their page. Okay, let's get started with the first build of the kingdom. First thing I gotta do is flatten out some space. I'm gonna go down to Y65. Let's give myself about 2 blocks above the sea level. Now that I have a big blank canvas to work on, I can start laying down the foundation of the build. And I am using a trowel from Cork to automatically randomize the block placement. It's going to randomly place all of the blocks in my hotbar, so I can put a certain amount of whichever stacks I want. In this case, I have more of the cobblestone bricks than anything else, so that'll be the majority of the blocks placed, while everything else is randomly sparsed in. For this build, I'm going to be using the chipped mod for the block textures, which gives me a ton of different variations on all the different types of blocks in vanilla Minecraft. There are tons of different variations for every single different block type, and 7 different workstations which you can work on depending on what kind of material you want to use. I usually like to put a foundation down with some sort of stone blocks, and I just love the way that the cobblestone palette looks. The walls I'm going to use cut diorite. I think that the regular diorite's just a little bit too harsh, where the cut diorite from Create is a little bit softer. And I'm going to work that in with a little bit of layered diorite, which will connect to itself when it's placed next to each other, giving me these kind of long, polished blocking look. I don't want the door right in the center, so I'm going to build a small foyer, and that'll help break up the symmetry a bit as well. I'm just going to build flat walls for now, and then I'll come back and add some details on the outside later. I'm going to use some vertical slabs for a bit of detailing, and I want to wrap the outside with logs to make a nice sturdy base. And for the roof, I'm going to do acacia and dark oak. So far, I'm pretty happy with how it's coming out. I was able to put the entrance right on the side, bring you into a little foyer before actually entering the main house. Okay, the first story is pretty much all set in place. I do want this to be a bit taller. I think I'm going to go with 2 more stories. Each story is going to pop out a little bit more and kind of give it a little bit of a whimsical shape. After a bit of experimenting, I've decided to go with a bigger box on top, and that'll hold the 2nd and 3rd floors. Now for a little bit of details. Okay, I think that's starting to look a bit better. Next, I'm going to go ahead and put on the roof on the top. Once that's complete, it'll pretty much have the base of the build all done. I do need to put a few more textures onto the 2nd and 3rd floor, but I want to wait a little bit for that to kind of figure out what the floor plan is going to look like, so I can make it a little bit more eclectic. I didn't expect it to be this tall, but I kind of like it. It looks nice. And I added a slight arch from the side view to add a little bit more whimsy. Now that the roof is on, I want to jut out a little spot right here in the front, add a little bit of extra space in the attic area. Okay, got some details going on. I added this little piece jutting out. I don't really know what this would be called. If anybody happens to know, let me know. And then got a bunch of different detailed blocks in, adding a bit more small texture across the board. The next thing I want to add is an addition to the side. Have another little piece coming off here, and I might build a deck coming out of that going into the water, have a nice little fishing spot. Alright, I've got that built out, and I like the way it looks. I might have to redo the fishing dock and actually get some better textures in there, maybe some campfires and just a different variation. I'm not sure if I really like this. It looks a little cartoonish. But as for the rest of the side addition here, I'm pretty happy with it. But the roof is still really flat and really samey for a long time, so I want to get some extra windows in there and kind of break it up a little bit. And there we go. Got 2 extra windows in there. And on the other side, I want to do something a little bit different. I want to put a stair set over here in the back corner. And then I want to put a kitchen coming out from this wall and a chimney coming off of that. The extension on this side is going to be a whole lot smaller, with the kitchen just coming out 2 blocks here and a circular staircase coming around over here. And then I do want to do a few extra blocks on the outside of the kitchen to put in a chimney. Alright, it's not anything special, but the chimney's got some smoke coming out. Now moving on to the stairwell. I want to just build a spiral staircase going up this whole thing, but I'm going to have to figure out exactly what pattern to do to make sure that I can go all the way around, because it is a little bit tight. Since the ceilings are so high in this ground floor, I am going to need to build the stairwell out a little bit so I can run the stairs through and up the rest of the first floor. There we go. That's not bad, and it gives me kind of a little archway, a little entryway into the stairwell as well. It's not perfect, but I now have a functioning staircase that'll take me to each level of the house. And that is the exterior all complete. Alright, and now all there is left to do is decorate the inside. And we've got ourselves a home. I put my refined storage computer right inside the front door, and I want to put one inside every level of the house as well. The main living room has a little kitchen area right where the chimney base is, a dining room table, and a little desk. And then I made the extension on the side into a little greenhouse, and I want to use this space for botany pots once I unlock that mod. The second floor has a little hallway leading to a couple of bedrooms. There's one main bedroom where I have my wardrobe and the spirit extractor, and then also a shared space with a couple of bunk beds, a big dresser, and a few desks. The third floor is still empty. I'm not totally sure what I want to put in here, so if you have any ideas, definitely let me know. I turned the attic into a magical library, which has the vault enchantment table, the inscription table, and the catalyst infusion table. And the basement is going to be where I manage all of my gear. The identifier is at the end of the Hall of Armor. I have all of the tools for making gear on one side, and everything I need for making tools on the other side. And the back of the room is where I'm going to have all of my artifacts. And the last spot in the house is the cave in the basement. Down here I have the soul diffuser, the black market. Over here I have the altar and the bounty table, and of course the portal. And that is the whole house. I'm really excited to have an actual base now instead of just kind of living out in the open like I was before. It took me 50 levels, but I finally got here. Alright, thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you next time.